Hello, McMovers. Hope you all are doing well. Today, I want to talk to you about something that I think will be very helpful to you personally and professionally. I was recently engaged in a conversation at the barbershop. Really was more of an ear witness, but was brought into the conversation. And it pertained to a person that I know. This person, by profession, is a sanitation worker and takes great pride in being a sanitation worker, and does excellent work, and to the point where he's actually received many awards for the excellence of work that he does. And as we were in having this conversation, he wasn't there, nor was he privy to us having a conversation, but he was the subject of the conversation. I made the statement to the other men in the barbershop that, there are some who will look down upon his profession, look down upon him because of the work that he does. He makes a really good living, takes care of his family, very responsible, and is very proud about what he does, to the point where even as a youth, he knew he wanted to be in this arena of a profession. But he takes great pride in servicing the homes that's on his route. And it had me thinking about something both professionally and personally. And I want to say to us on this time together, take pride in your work product, regardless of how important it may be to anybody else. Make it important to you. Make sure that what you are producing, what you are crafting, what your hands are attached to is a reflection of what you want to be known by. Take pride in your work product. Do the best you can to give your all. Be excellent in what you are doing. Now, listen, everybody's not going to have the front row seat. Everybody's not going to be the main character in the movie or in the play. But you have a role to play. Let's do it from a professional perspective. If you are an executive assistant, administrative assistant, if you are a middle manager, if you are a senior manager, if you are the actual senior executive in the workplace, each of us, regardless of the role that you are playing or the lane that you are in, our work product and our contribution to the overall team matters. And when that one person considers their work product less than everybody else, and they give a less than everyone else effort, it affects the overall outcome. But when you approach your work product as knowing that I and my contribution are necessary, effective, and beneficial to the overall team, you see a different result. Using the example I aforementioned, brother is a sanitation worker and very proud of it. But let's say he wakes up one day and says, no one takes me seriously, no one appreciates the work that I do, so I'm not going to go to work today. Now what happens is, not only are the homes on the route not serviced, someone else will have to be pulled from a different route to be able to cover in his absence. Why? Because he allowed himself to believe, or allow the narrative to be written or drawn, that the work that he does isn't important. I'd say to you that there is always at least one person who will benefit off of your work product when you take your work seriously. Take pride in what you do. If you are a writer of papers, you are a writer of books, if whatever it may be, you ought to be proud in what you do, because you are trying to get your product, you're trying to get yourself in the face of other people. And oftentimes your product is their first introduction to you. Before they actually introduce themselves to you, or you introduce yourself to them, before they actually ever meet you face to face, they may in turn actually have received one of your products and drew a conclusion or a narrative about you based on your product. Think about that. Think about what you invest in. Think about the energy you put in to put together the work that you produce. I am fortunate to operate in several arenas, personally, professionally, and pastorally. And I know, being in those settings, that I'm going to be thrust into the forefront sometimes. Not every time, but sometimes. And so I know that how I carry myself, how I hold conversation will matter. I am a reflection of. I pastor a church. And so everywhere I go, to speak at other churches, I'm trying to make sure I'm reflecting the God I believe in, but also the church that I represent. Professionally, I work at a firm and I have my own professional development services company as well. I'm a reflection. And so if I'm trying to represent clients or draw in more clients, I have to make sure that the work product that I am trying to sell is worth their time, their energy, and is actually going to get their attention. I like to always say to people, you can't sell what you haven't bought. Now, what that means is if you really aren't sold on it, if you really don't believe in it, it's very hard for you to actually sell and convince people they ought to make the investment. Your work product matters. When you're asked to do a task, you ought to take on that task with all the energy and the effort you have, so when you produce the final product, that you know and the people who receive it know that you put work in it. You shouldn't procrastinate to the last minute of the last hour of the last day before you put some work together, because it's going to show. And people will conclude that you don't take things seriously. If you are a business owner, you ought to represent and exemplify to your staff how you want them to behave, because it's hard for you to expect excellence when you're not exemplifying excellence. Look at it personally. We're talking about taking pride in your product. Personally, think about if you are a husband or a wife, you are a parent, whatever it may be. You want to think about, what am I exuding? What am I displaying? What am I giving out? These things are important. We've all been there where you've gone to a local fast food place, or you've gone to a restaurant, you went to a grocery store, you engaged one of the workers, and maybe it's just a bad day for them. And but that day they were particularly rude, and attitude was nasty. They acted as if you were bothering them. They have a sign at the fast food place that say, if you need condiments, please ask. And you asked for condiments and they gave you attitude as if you were bothering them. This person has forgotten that people like you who come through the drive-through or come inside actually helps cover their paycheck. But they treat you like you're the bother. You've been at some of the grocery stores where you can't seem to find anyone to help you find an item. And when you finally do find someone, they seem bothered that you even stopped them. You've seen that. But if you flip it around and you meet people who take their job seriously and they're very professional and they're happy to service you, you see a difference. We've all been to at least a Chick-fil-A, and no matter where you've been Chick-fil-A, anywhere, they're always exemplifying a pleasant attitude. It's because it's the template. It's the brand. They understand that customer service creates returning customers. And then you compare that treatment somewhere else. Now, here is the thing. Chick-fil-A may be charging you more than this other store or this other fast food place, but you keep going to Chick-fil-A because you're willing to pay for more, for extra, the price for the food, because the customer service is so pleasing. You can go there first thing in the morning with the last customer in line at night. They're going to usually be very respectful and give you pleasantries. Now, why do I say that? Because the person with the nasty attitude and they're rude, they are giving you a narrative. They're giving you an opinion about the workplace that may not be accurate. I've said this before to people in conversation. I say, I don't understand why this place of business will put the nastiest attitude in a place where they're going to interact with the customers. It could be in the mall. It could be you making a phone call about a bill and a person who answers the phone. It could be any setting where you have to interact with someone. And it seems like some places of employment put the nastiest person in the place where they got to interact with people. Think about it from a church standpoint. You can put the nastiest attitude on your usher board or on your greeter ministry, and all of a sudden now you and our people are not returning. It's because before they even got into the door, they had to deal with an attitude and a nasty disposition. We need to understand that we have to take pride in what we do. And when you take pride in what you do, here's what happens. It talks about itself. Now, what does that mean? When people pick up your product, when people see your product in circulation, they start inquiring as to who's behind this, who created this, whose work product is this. And all of a sudden now, word of mouth begins to travel, And now, unbeknownst to you, people are bragging about you, about your work product, about your effort, about your energy. And now you're getting opportunities that you thought would never come because people are impressed by what you do. There are people who will gladly be a testimonial for you based on the work that you've done because they're so pleased by the outcome. Never take for granted that a simple task asked of you could open up many doors. Can open up many doors. Can open up many doors. As a parent, you know how it is. You ask your child to do something and your child in turn gives you attitude or they sigh. You know your initial reaction is not a pleasant one because you know the sacrifices you are making as a parent or as a provider for that child, and how dare he or her respond the way they responded. Think about it when you are interacting with people and you're in a setting in a workplace that requires customer service and you're not giving service to your customers. I say that to you because your work product is your resume. Not just your resume to talk about the jobs you had, how long you were there, and your skill set, but your work product is as well because it speaks for you. There are people who will take possession of something you have authored, something you have helped create, and you may never personally meet them, but they have in their possession something you are a part of, and guess what happens? They now draw a conclusion. I had a session with someone this past Thursday evening, and the person I had a session with was showing me some work products that this person has done, and one of the products he showed me was a logo that I've actually seen in my very city. And as soon as I saw the logo, I knew the logo. And I began to engage this person in conversation, only to learn that this person was the creator of the logo many years ago. The logo is still being utilized by this place of employment. And we began to engage back and forth in a conversation. And I shared with the person that place of employment will always be a testimonial for you because they're still using it, which means every business card, every letterhead, when you see signage, every contract they put out there, they do a commercial. Your logo, this person's logo is always plastered in front of people's faces. And guess what? When I saw it, I remember where I see it at almost every single day. First time knowing that this person was the author of the logo, but as soon as I saw it in the examples the person showed to me, I was drawn back to my first time. And I said this to the person: every time I see that logo now going forward, I'm going to always think of you. That's what I mean by it is your resume. Now when I see this logo in my very city, and this person does not live in my city, I'm going to remember this person because I know this person is the author, the creator, the visionary of that product. That's what I mean. You never know how your product, how your work can be sent out and tell a story about you. And years later, you could meet a person who has in their possession something that you have created, something you have authored, something that you were instrumental in helping create. When you take pride in your work, you think about the fact that what I'm working on is bigger than me and it's going to go further than me. So I want you to take on a mindset that whatever task you're asked of, number one, there's no task beneath me. There's no task beneath me. Never take on the mindset of superiority where I'm too good to do this task. Never take on that mindset, because the greatest leader is a servant leader. If you really want people to follow your example and follow your leadership, let them see you serve. So the first thing is never think that the task is too menial, too beneath you. Number two, every task you take on, gather your thoughts. Envision yourself giving your all to that task, because that outcome will be the fruit of what you've invested. The third and final thing I want you to have in mind when you think about the work product and giving your all to it, number three is think about the recipient of the work. And think about, if I give my all on the front end, how it will benefit them on the back end. This is doable in whatever setting you are in. No matter what your title is, no matter what your pay band is, no matter wherever you live, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Every single day we are fortunate enough to have an opportunity to give our all toward a work product. I overly emphasize excellence, whether it's in ministry, whether it's in business, whether it's personally, excellence. try to make sure that I'm exemplifying the best I can. I'm telling a story. Telling a story in how I carry myself, how I hold conversations, my character. It tells a story. It tells a story. And you want to be mindful that when you are fortunate enough to release a product that you worked on, it tells a story. So gather yourself. Never let pride make you think that you're too good to do certain things, because we all have a chance to be a blessing to somebody else. And remember this now, when you give your all in this work product, when you give your all to the task given to you, you don't have to make announcements, because the move that you make will announce it for you. That's what it really means. I don't have to tell people I'm doing it. I don't have to give an announcement. I don't have to plaster it over social media. When I make moves, my moves make the announcements. I want to encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Darrick D. McGhee Sr. I want you to visit our website at www.darrickdmcgee.com. There you can learn more about me, about the ministry that I'm blessed to be a part of, about my professional experiences and opportunities, things of that nature. I also want to encourage you to share the videos. Share with other people that you believe really could benefit from these products. I try to upload a fresh video once a week, if not more, but definitely once a week, based on what I believe can be helpful in every setting, personally, professionally. Those of you who are pastors as well, be helpful to you. But remember, take pride in your work product. Take pride in what you release, because it tells a story. And you want to remember that if you want the story to be written negatively, don't take it seriously. I encourage you once again to be a follower of what we are doing. I thank you all for your time. And always remember, as a make mover, you commit to making moves, not announcements.